And we are now live as well on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And when I'm looking over that, we are on Instagram connected. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another First Day Live. I am just riding on the wave of energy. It's like energy is falling down to me from the sky today, and so I may be a bit bubbly today, but that you know why. It's just I'm so in flow, and I'm gonna tell you that's one reason why I'm in flow. I'm gonna reveal that towards the end of our session today, but also because we're gonna talk about psychological abuse, also known as domestic abuse or psychological violence, and how it at least affected my career. But I think it can be broadened out to be more a generic observation of how psychological abuse affects career and so your financial wealth. That when I prepared for this topic today, it got me thinking that actually this is such an important topic to be aware of. If you are in a toxic relationship or you have a partner that has abused you, well, that is one side, but there's also psychological abuse in the workplace. Either way, if you deal with an abuser, it will affect your mental and physical health, and you need to know that, and you need to act accordingly. Anyway, so that's why I'm thriving so much on energy today. I didn't even introduce myself. Those who are new to on my channel, my name is Camilla Kjellberg, and I go live every Thursday. And I'm so proud to be here together with you. I go live to teach tools that I found life transforming, that helped me transition from an abusive relationship to actually creating my coaching practice and really living my best life ever. I go live to teach the tools that I have used, and I teach my clients, and I teach my daughter, age 7. And my hope is that you find some inspiration in what I share. Hey, Rita. So you can use that as well. And I'm certainly going to share some of my personal stories about how my relationship affected me. And now when Rita is on live, Rita knows that because Rita, you were on my journey at that point in time as well. So like Rita did, Rita sent a note and send me a note as well, or wave or hi, then I know you are here, and that's the only way I know that you are here. So and always share comments. I'll do my best to follow up on comments, right? All right, but now into the topic. So today we're going to talk about psychological abuse, also known as verbal abuse, mental abuse, or emotional abuse. Psychological abuse is so important to talk about and create awareness about, because it scars on your soul and we can't see it. It's like a physical wound here, right? You can't see it, but it really hurts. And I think that it hurts even more when you're physically abused. When you are with an abuser, it could be your partner, as I have experienced, or your boss or a colleague. That abuser gives you demeaning statement, which means that it actually makes you feel very small and worth less. And it affects your mental and physical well-being. The demeaning statements can impact or can focus on your competency, as I can't trust you. You always come late. I have heard that thousands of times. You are indecisive. That's another statement I've heard so many times. And as I'm preparing for this, I said, well, there was a reason why I was so indecisive. I was afraid of the result. So that was why I was procrastinating actually taking a result, but that's another thing. A weak mommy, that's another one. You are a weak mommy, and yes, that's the reason. That's the reason why our daughter behaves as she does, right? So I heard that as well. That goes on your competency. In terms of your character, you can get demeaning statements like you are lousy, you are unpopular, you are fat, you are a loser, and you are ugly, and you are a liar. I spoke to a client of mine yesterday who's been in an abusive relationship for, she said, 20 years. She's now 11 months ago, she escaped from her partner, but he keeps telling her how a loser she is, how ugly she is. And she just is devastated. She feels depressed. She feels not motivated to do anything. She was lying on the couch when we talked yesterday. And it just hurts deep down when people tell you that you're not worth anything. All right. So that's why we have to be so aware of psychological abuse, because if we are not aware of psychological abuse, it will deteriorate and it will ruin your well-being. I discovered it the hard way, the long way, and I got my good coach Rita to help me discover that. But I really procrastinated that I was in that relationship, and the psychological violence was attacked to me. And here it was, I think, when it was scary, and also I know it and shared with so many people, but still, when preparing for our life today, is that I saw the signs of psychological abuse very early on in my relationship. My partner was verbally abusing other people in his network, but not me. And I thought, we can talk about it, and that's it. And I didn't know that was psychological abuse. But when it goes on, the thing is that here, when you hear a thing more than 10 times, your brain starts to think that that is true. And so I saw the signs. I was just not becoming a victim. And actually, just that point, the penny really dropped when I was preparing for this life. And so it does take some time maybe to reflect and be really honest on what you've been through. Though luckily I healed so fast, so incredibly fast, when I decided no longer available for those verbal attacks. So, but that's probably a story for another life. And whoever is on from LinkedIn, awesome to see this live. I'm lovely and welcome so much. I appreciate it all. All right, so let's dive in. I will give you some, from the inner of my heart, some examples of how my psychological violent relationship affected my career. I've been an external consultant for several years. And in the beginning of our relationship, he didn't really support me in working abroad. So what I did, I canceled client trips. And I did it sometimes on a Sunday night, and I was going to Copenhagen Airport at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. And I can even feel it now when I share, because I knew he was not going to support me. And then he would say, but why are you not going to the country? And I said, no, I decided to work from home this week. I can go in the office. The client is okay. That was a lie. I was lying, but I was trying to please him to stay home, right? So that is one way that my relationship affected my professional career, and so also my financial wealth, right? Because career is equal money, and the more better you perform, the higher salary you get. So that's one example of how my relationship affected me. Another one was, just going to read my notes. When my daughter was born, then suddenly two became free, and that's two examples that really really not shocked me, because if Rita, you're still listening, you know all this. But I was trying to, for a long time, I was working abroad, just a few days a week. But my daughter was so scared every time I was leaving to the airport. And so sometimes I even do you say that in English? I brought her to the kindergarten with only her knickers on, because she did not allow me to travel. She was afraid to be with that alone. And I just couldn't be in that. That was so difficult to be in that position where I so much enjoyed. I did enjoy my client assignment, but seeing my little daughter, age 4, how affected she was, how afraid she was from being with her dad alone, just was breaking my heart. And I was working with my coach to find the balance where I could still keep my family unit and I could still thrive in my career. I still feel that I have high standards when I'm external consultant, and I certainly did my best. But this is not to say I couldn't have done there was nothing more to be done. Of course, I could always improve, and before we even better. But I knew that the father-daughter the relationship and the toxic relationship, how that affected my daughter. And obviously, if I'm scared, if I'm concerned, I cannot really be in balance and be creative. So it did also affect my career from that perspective. Also, just before I was ending my relationship, every morning, and Rita, you know this, every morning when my partner was driving our daughter to the kindergarten, I would call her at 7. I was going to leave house early to be able to pick up my daughter early, which means that I would be in the office about 6:30 or so, and I would leave home before she had woken up. So what I did was I called home, and I say here open and honestly, I called home to hear her voice, and I can feel my heart now. But I so much also wanted to make sure that she was okay. And the moment that the dad was picking up the phone, I could really sense whether he was happy or whether he was aggressive. And you can just imagine how that would impact the rest of my day at work. And I did it for months and months and months. And people, like, here's where the trick is. Do you go to a psychologist, or do you talk to someone who really knows what this is all about? My psychologist told me, but just leave it. But that he didn't understand, or she didn't understand it. It was not about being a curly mommy. It was nothing to do with that. I was scared. So that was just another very honest example for showing up and sharing how a physical violent relationship, how that affected me, and how it obviously also affects how I could show up at work. And so it goes, it cannot be discussed. If you are in balance at home, so you will be not performing to your best at work. Your mind and your body is in balance. And so your thoughts are circulating. You may focus on the problems more than the solutions. And you just cannot perform to your best. And he just before was filing for divorce, and we knew my penny dropped 3 months before I filed for divorce. The kindergarten said something is wrong. Well, I know something is wrong. Thank you so much for asking me that question 3 years down the road, right? And so what I did was from January till I filed divorce in April, I was rushing between meetings to talking to my daughter's psychologist, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Would that set me up for success at client side? And would I be able to perform at my best? No, not at all. How could I? And I'm so honest, and thank you so much for saying, also cheering me, being my vulnerable. But I think it's just so important also to share that there is a consequence, and I did my best. But having the psychologist in the one moment, and the moment after, go in and facilitate a workshop, stabilizing and focusing, I don't think anyone could do that in just a moment. You would need some time to just kind of get out of that negative emotions and fear and sadness in order to perform. And so the reason why I share is that you really, really have to take it seriously if you're stuck in a relationship that doesn't set you up for success. And I do hope that what I feel my body reacting now on this, is that just look at me, and now I'm thriving. But I also told you some hardcore, vulnerable examples of how it affected me, right? And I don't want you to go and do the same hard learnings. Learn from me, be inspired of me, and transform now. Because everything is rigged in your favor. It's just about making that jump and making that decision. And I know I'm going a bit off track now, but still, I had some very deep conversation with my coach, dear Rita, where I say, okay, I'm in here to keep my family unit together. But the consequences of keeping my family unit together for 2 years, what was that? It was physical and mental deterioration for myself and for my daughter. I mean, how successful is that? Well, I didn't know, but now I can look in hindsight. People told me, and I finally stopped procrastination, and I just jumped and I did the decision. I never ever look back and say I should have done it differently. No way. So, but I just want to say that I've been there where you are right now. I sit there procrastinated for the decision for years, but something better is waiting for you when you actually have done that. Taking that decision. And so let me just see my yeah. So here is that when the penny really dropped about how the psychological violent relationship or psychological violence affect career, which really when I started, what I said, no more, no more. And then when I'm now building my really prosperous and great a successful coaching business, I realized that I so often tap into the moment of joy and happiness, and we just create. And I said, like, energy was falling down the sky as I was going on doing this live. And people around me tell, well, what energy are you thriving on now? And I'm thriving on an energy. My body is reacting to this again because I'm not sad. I'm not anxious. I don't fear. I have no ticks in my eyes. I have a soft face. It's like my muscles. Every pain has left my body. And when I'm no more in pain, I can create and I can think big thoughts. That was not possible when I was thinking of my daughter's wellness, going back and forth with meetings, psychologists, blah, blah, blah. How could you ever be able to create? No. So that's where the penny dropped, that psychological violence never will set you up for success. And that's why I decided, I'm going to broadcast this to you. So just in closing, I want to, hi, Lorraine. So beautiful. And thanks all for all the comments. I really appreciate that. And just makes me thrive. And I feel so glad that I actually stand up and be vulnerable, because it does sometimes require to be vulnerable in order to move forward, right? And inspire others to do so. So let me just here, in closing, and you heard me say this many times before, you only have one life. And you gotta, so this is not, I'm not controlling what you are going to choose, right? But if I could invite you, my best invitation would be to get out of that relationship that doesn't set you up for success. Leave that partner behind who diminish you, who tells you how ugly you are, like hours of procrastination, any decisions, you're a lousy mom, the person that deteriorates your well-being, right? Leave that person behind. You don't deserve that person. You don't deserve to be with that person. You deserve something much better. And believe me, if you're a bit scared, that's okay. I've been there before, and I've been there myself. But everything is strict in your favor. You just need to make that one jump, just one jump, right? And here's what I'm doing my loop now, because I am so into helping as many women as possible escaping from that psychological violent relationship, because I'm not the only woman on this planet who's been there. but we don't talk so much about it. So here's what's coming up, and the registration page is coming up on Monday. On February, I can't sit still right now. On February the 19th, I will be hosting an amazing conference, a live conference on how to thrive before, during, and after divorce. The event is called Happiness is Real. And I have lined up amazing female speakers, and you will have an hour and a half of live coaching on how to thrive, whether you're in it and you want to plan it, or you are actually half divorced but you haven't healed. I have lined up 6 amazing women who will talk about the consequences of not healing, right? Healing from the abusive partner. And I have one woman, Despina, I can't pronounce her surname, she's from Greece, but Despina she's a lawyer today. Despina been in this relationship with a mom and dad, their toxic relationship. And Despina is going to tell you her story of the effect it has on children when they grow up in an abusive relationship. So if you have children, and if you're stuck in an abusive relationship, you cannot miss this most amazing and life-transforming event. And I can just say, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And just allow me to thrive on this, because it will be amazing. So, and what you will get, not only will you get live coaching from these amazing 6-figure women, you will gain tools, insights, and methods on how to transition through your divorce and into your most amazing life. You will learn from other people who shared their stories similar to you. It's been Despina. I will share my story as well. And you will have a stronger sense of what you have to do when you leave this event. And that is another bonus as well. You'll have the opportunity to do live coaching with me the week after, a group intensive session. So this one session is not to be missed. I haven't come across any other event that helps women thrive before, during, and after divorce. Go up and sign up on Monday. I'll put a link and post out on Monday. So with this hype, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. I saw Rita's, there's one here. Charlene said, leave that company behind. Exactly, leave that company behind. It's not only the relationship, but also the company, because psychological violence happens in the workplace as well, happens at home. I also have a few clients who has a very toxic relationship with a mom. So whatever relationship is, decide how you're gonna move forward. It may be difficult to just threat your mom, because it may still be your mom, but you have to take another stand on it, right? And then, as Charlene says, there's so many women that are violently, psychologically abused. Yes, as well in the workplace. Exactly. So I say again, wherever you are on this psychological journey, if we can broaden it out, join my event in February, because you will get amazing tools. And what is to stand out? Create the life that you want. And remember, team up with those who support you and will help you thrive. Because when you do those decisions, you will thrive mentally and psychologically, and your well-being will just increase. So I'm thriving right now. All right, I'm gonna end. This was for me. There was the end for me today. Have a beautiful rest of the Thursday. Stay tuned when we're gonna launch the registration page for Happiness is Real. It's gonna go live on Monday, and on all our speakers' corporate or social sites in the weeks to come. So just with that, reach out if any questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna close our live now, and we'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now.